Now, Nigeria has witnessed a spike in the number of collapsed buildings, with more than 20 cases recorded over the last 10 years. Despite repeated calls by victims, experts and many other Nigerians, there seems to be no end to the tragedy. This report chronicles a timeline of collapsed buildings in Nigeria's commercial hub. All right, before we take that report, let's quickly take you to Ikoyi, where our correspondent Sarah Yeku has been bringing us up to speed with regards to development at the site of the collapsed building. Sarah, talk to us. What update do you have for us at this time?
Okay, so the update I have is that search and rescue operation has begun. If my cameraman can pan over there, you will see the dust right there in the air, showing that rescue operation has resumed. You can see the excavators. I see about 2 of them already working, trying to clear the debris and go under the rubble to see if there are persons there that they can save. So that's what we have for now. We see that search and rescue operation has resumed. The number of security personnel here has also increased. We've seen that a lot of them are now back on site with Lagos Traffic Management Agency, with those from the Neighborhood Watch, with those we just see from the FRSC also. We see some police officers around trying to ensure that there is free flow of traffic on the road. We also see that the help desk that we understand had not resumed as of the last time I spoke with you has now been set up. That's what you have right there at the back there. So we're hoping that family members, people that they feel that their loved ones, their friend, their colleague is still trapped under the rubble will approach this desk and present pictures, possible pictures, names of persons they feel are under the rubble. But, for now, Veronica, it's still unclear how many persons were actually trapped when the building collapsed. So we know that about at least 20 persons have been confirmed dead. 9 persons were rescued. 3 have gone home. They were given first aid treatment when they were rescued. 6 are still in the hospital at Odo Hospital here on the island. We still don't know for yet how many persons were trapped at the time the building collapsed. But we're hearing some identities. Of course, the family members of those who suspect that their family member is still trapped in Nigeria are still around trying to see if they can get some kind of good news. We're hoping to get the emergency responders to give us some details. We've been hearing some news on the ground that some bodies were seen or recovered over the night, but we still don't have that figure yet. So for now, we just have to wait for an official statement, and we understand that it's only the governor, that's Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, that can give us that official statement and update the media as to what the search and rescue operation has been so far.
So you were unable to speak with any of the officials that came in earlier while I was speaking with you. Were you able to speak with any of them on with regards to the fact that some family members are concerned with the breaks they are taking?
So we really tried to speak with some officials, but they said it's only the governor who is the first incident commander here in Lagos. It's only the governor that can give us an update, since, as the governor described this is a national disaster. For this to happen in a city like Lagos, this is a national disaster. And so the officials told us that they cannot give us any update yet. They are waiting for the governor. So possibly we're expecting that the governor will give an update later on today, and he will be giving us more information about the rescue operation, how many persons they suspect is still trapped there, as they're still hearing voices of persons still trapped. What's the situation like now? So until the governor gives us an update, or until we try to speak with some persons here, some officials here, we still don't have that information yet. But family members are also asking questions. Some of them are seated in there. I saw some of them in there. I was able to gain access into this site. Some of them are seated there, but we cannot take our cameras in. They said cameras are not allowed. So some of them are seated there waiting, hoping they will get some kind of information or see their loved one being saved from the rubble. So for now, we still have to wait and hope, Veronica. And of course, we're just hoping that hope will not be lost here, because even the family members are frustrated. Some of them have not been home for the past 3 days.
Sarah, quickly before I let you go, Can you hear me? Now, when you got to the site itself, did you hear voices?
Of course, I didn't hear voices because the part I was able to get to was the part they had already cleared. They had cleared that part, and because I'm not an emergency responder, I wasn't allowed after the barricade. So you have a place that is only emergency responders can get to. So we couldn't go further. Of course, I couldn't hear voices at the time. The excavators had started working, so it's difficult to detect any kind of voice for now. So we're just going to hope and pray that emergency responders will give us some kind of information, because that's what everybody wants to hear.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. We'll definitely keep tabs with you and get back to you for more updates as much and as soon as we can. But we have in the studio Mr. Bamidele Onolaja. He is the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Revolution Plus Group and the Chairman of Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, Lagos Chapter. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so very much for having me.
A national disaster, the governor of Lagos State called this incident that happened on Monday, and there has been divergent reactions to this, and even your association came up with its own reaction, talking about how it is some unhappy incidents, so to speak. But then in the statement, the Real Estate Developers Association is calling on developers in the state, irrespective of their home office, to come under an umbrella and also team up to achieve standardization and safety in real estate development by adhering strictly to all building codes and town planning regulations so as not to compromise quality. Now, why do you have to, there are salient issues here that your body wrote in the statement, talking about coming under an umbrella, teaming up to achieve standardization, as well as ensuring that there is no compromise to quality. Are these key issues that help address building collapses in a state like Lagos, for instance?
Well, there are key issues, but before I go ahead, let me our deepest condolences, to all the families, everybody, the friends, fellow developers that were trapped or immersed in such tragedy. It's a national disaster, just like the governor of Lagos State have said. We, on behalf of the national president of Redan, Alhaji Aliyu Amako, the zonal chairman, Debo Adejana, and myself, and all the executives and members of Lagos Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, we want to express our condolences to the families. It's a gargantuan waste and disaster. And also to the government of Lagos State. The governor, very proactive, and he is an hands-on governor,
Right.
So we came out with this statement just to address and also to sympathize, to address some very important issues. I, as the chairman, you can say I signed that statement on behalf of Redan Lagos. It's very important that, like you asked, and in the statement, it's easier. The government can monitor, can work with people when there's a kind of uniformity and association. If you go individually to people, don't do this, don't do that, it might be difficult for you to monitor. But when you come under an umbrella of real estate developers, the government can channel its effort towards the body. The body, like Redan in Lagos, for instance, have over 5,000 members. We have so many developers that are working closely with us, and we have some that are not even Redan members already. Though they are developers, they are building, but they are not Redan members. So all we are doing in that statement is to call them to come under umbrella so that we can work closely with the government. And we work closely with the government. Sometimes in July this year, we organized a very big symposium, we call stakeholders meeting, with the Ministry of Physical Planning, who is in charge of making sure that building did not collapse in Lagos. We follow laid down rules and procedures. So the Commissioner for Physical Planning, Dr. Idris Adaka, was at that meeting physically. Even came with all the ministries and agencies. The suspended Labscar GM, Architect Bola, was there. So they had a very successful meeting with Redan. It was at Oriental Hotel, just July this year, where all the processes on how to avoid building collapse were discussed. We also told them our mind and how to go about it. So it's for the good of everyone, both the government and the people, if we can come under an umbrella called REDAN, because that is the recognized real estate developers association in Nigeria. And it's not only Lagos, it's a national body. So I think that the government's job will be easier. You can channel any of your member head, you can write them, they treat the member, that's why I say everybody should come under. And also, it helps the government to checkmate any erring REDAN member. You're a developer in Lagos.
You can easily identify who they are.
Identify because we have database.
Right.
Address it. Before such things happen, you can address it. You can quickly say it. You can call the chairman. You can call any of the members and say, okay, yes, you are a REDAN member. This is done. This have to be done. This have to be corrected. So it's easier for the government to deal than talking to individual developers up and down. And the Lagos State government have been so proactive. They've done so well. Like I said, you remember, I said the physical planning, Ministry of Physical Planning, and even
was part of that meeting.
Even LASERA, Lagos Real Estate Regulatory Agency, and Honorable Toke Benson have been working closely with us. So we are together.
But this issue of compromise in quality is a major challenge because of the number of collapses we have witnessed in recent times, especially in Lagos State. Are there challenges to achieving that when it comes to structures of this magnitude, for instance?
Yes. Building collapse can be caused of so many things. It might not even be compromising quality. The collapse of such...
One of the things here that a lot of persons are pointing at, although investigations are ongoing...
Yes, I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere. Because number one, you can see how strong and how big the building is. There are so many things in building construction. The first thing I think for such a building to be standing, even before it collapse, they might have been piled. They are piling down. You cannot go to a 21-floor building and not pile in a place like Ikoyi. So the piling point, I think the first thing is the structural engineer that did the structure of that building, and all the people, the architects, all the professionals, the builders need to be summoned first. Look at it, then before you now talk of compromise.
Right.
The structure first, because if the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if the foundation is faulty, where you're supposed to use 18 mm rod and you're using 12, the developer himself might not be at the site always because he has handed this construction to professionals. I don't go to my site every day. I have so many sites everywhere, all over Lagos and all over Nigeria. But how many sites will I go to? I fly to Abuja, I fly to Port Harcourt, fly to everywhere, no? So I've handed this project to professionals. My job is to oversee. Now, if I've handed the jobs to professionals through the designs, because construction starts with designs.
Yes.
You do the design, then you give it to a structural engineer who is COREN certified. So COREN is the body that structure and regulate structural engineers in Nigeria. We believe that they know their members. By the time structure is being done, the structural engineer identify the points where the piling will be done. So the piling is what makes the building strong and standing. So we need to look at the foundational error of such a structure for it to have collapsed. It collapsed down to debris. So that means the foundational structure is wrong. It might not be really, maybe we might not be able to rule out maybe there's a compromise, but the person in question, the developer, has done so many construction even outside Nigeria.
Absolutely, and so one would expect that experience to come to play.
Those constructions are standing. They're standing in UK, they're standing in South Africa, and this is not the first construction he did, also in Nigeria.
Right.
So that's why I said in this particular construction, there's a foundational error. And we need to call the professionals to answer, to come and give us insights. And also the Lagos State government also, you know, have several agencies. The Material Testing Agency of the government is an agency, just like LAPSCA.
Yes.
The Lagos government is one of the most structured governments in Nigeria, and very hard-working government. They have different agencies that supervise everyone. So maybe did you test this iron? Are you sure that concrete mix is normal? Because for such a project, they are supposed to visit the site like
as regularly
as possible. Not even LAPSCA now. I'm talking of people that test the materials being used. So have they done their job? So you need to call them to see, bring your logbook. When was the last time you went there? So what happened? You know, these are the things you need to do before you talk of material. You know, if you are compromising materials, maybe you ought to use 20 bags of cement and you use 18. These are the things that you ought to know when you test the concrete.
What makes people, you know, begin to look at cutting corners? There are those who have talked about perhaps the hike in the prices of building materials, and that they need to make as much profits because of the hike, and also the fact that they take loans from banks and all. Explain to us, make us understand what the challenges are that makes people or developers look in the direction of making use of cutting corners. The
challenges in housing development or construction is enormous.
Right.
It starts with the rising cost of building materials. It skyrockets every day. You know, it goes up every day that you'll be thinking as a developer, when you start a project, is that this an 18 or 24 month project? You have your projection.
Yes.
How much you want to construct, you have your margin, and most of us takes money from the bank. The bank interest loan is running after, skyrocketing after you every day, that if you are not careful, you can owe the banks for the next 10, 20 years, and they come after your property. So everything, then you have so many other challenges that even when you start the project, you were not envisaging. So, but be as it may, that is not enough excuse for anybody to cut corners. The most thing we do in Redan, in Real Estate Developer Association of Nigeria, which I know our members do, we don't cut corners. We don't. We preach it again and again.
That they follow the rules.
We have an enforcement team in Redan. An enforcement team in Redan that goes round to see the project, apart from what the government is doing. We as an association, as a body,
you have a task force.
We have a task force. It's called enforcement task force. We empower them to go around and see what the construction of our members are doing. So that's not to say, because I don't want to say because he's not a member of Redan, as in this particular developer, but it's important. That's why I said earlier that it's important everybody come up under the umbrella of real estate developers and help the government succeed. Because this is a failure on the part of the government, which is not their fault. They've done their best. But if we cut corners as developers and people that are building, these are the things that happen. And you know, for a beautiful city like Lagos, and the governor works day in, day out, is one of the most efficient governors in Nigeria. The governor, he doesn't sleep. And all you see the Commissioner for Physical Planning, Dr. Idris, going in the night to enter Banana Island, to enter Ikoyi, to go and see Lekki, to go and see the construction as it's going.
Right.
So it's so unfortunate, and you know, it might be a natural disaster which nobody have answers to. Right.
Earlier while we were speaking, we also talked about challenges of getting approvals from government agencies, how that also is a stumbling block to achieving some of the things we need to see in the sector. Talk to us about
Yes, thank you so very much. During our stakeholders meeting in July with Lagos State Ministry of Physical Planning, I told you earlier that the Commissioner for Physical Planning was physically present.
Yes.
And he came with nothing less than 150 of his members of his ministry. The GM LAPSCA, the former GM, who has been suspended now, was there. The GM for material testing was there.
Right.
So everybody was there. So, and the ministry made us know, because those are the things we complained. Getting approval takes too long. I'm a developer. I have finance from a bank. Immediately the bank disperses the finance, they expect it to move to site. and it takes you like 6 months to 1 year to do that. So they explained that what the government did is they have been able to modernize and modify the approval process, that within 90 days you will get to approval.
But we're talking about approval. What are we talking about now when you're saying approvals?
Building approvals.
Right.
Building approval. Building approvals mean approval for you to move to site. Because number one, approval means you have to submit your architectural drawing, your structural drawing, your M&E, that's mechanical and electrical drawings. Everything must be submitted. So the government agency, LABSCA, Ministry of Physical Planning, then your layout approval, they go through it, because for every land has a certain amount of houses that it can
And because
contain.
as a developer, you're running against time, they delaying the approvals also affect the process.
It affects the process, they delaying approval, but the government has shortened the approval time.
All right.
And that's a plus to the government.
We have to leave the conversation here because of time. Thank you, Mr. Bamidele Onolaja, Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Revolution Plus Group, and the Group Chair of Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, Lagos Chapter, for your time on the program.
Thank you.